If your story of who you are creates your experience of reality, then the most important question you need to be asking yourself is, who is the you that's creating your life? And how do you create an energetically aligned way to untangle yourself from a story that you're outgrowing?
You're listening to Quantum Revolution with Karen Curry Parker, exploring new frontiers in consciousness, science, and evolution. Join us in intimate conversations with cutting-edge scientists, spiritual leaders, artists, disruptors, and visionaries who are working towards reframing the narrative of our future by healing the rift between spirituality and science, reclaiming creativity, and laying the foundation for a new world. And now, here's your host, Karen Curry Parker.
Hi, and welcome to Quantum Revolution. I'm Dr. Karen Curry Parker. Today we're going to talk about integrative medicine and why we have to go beyond the reductionist, materialistic practice of only focusing on the body when we're optimizing health and wellness, and why human design is such an integral part to creating quantum wellness. To begin with, let's start with a summary of 4 basic ideas that are essential to understanding why we need to take an integrative approach to creating wellness and well-being. Number 1, the stories you tell yourself and the world about who you are and how you are serve as a filter that helps you consciously or unconsciously choose potentials out of the quantum field of infinite potential. Number 2, if you want to start consciously choosing something better for your life, you have to start first by changing your personal story. Number 3, to do this, you need to start by understanding what stories are you telling right now about key areas in your life. This gives you a starting place to rewrite your story. Number 4, to create the energy that helps transform your story permanently and protects you from default conditioned programming in your mind, body, and spirit, you have to work on all levels of the manifesting field. That means physical, mental, emotional, subtle, and quantum. The biggest challenge you face when taking back control of your personal narrative and reclaiming your natural creative power is to figure out exactly what stories you're telling and which part of your story do you need to change in order to activate your potential and improve the quality of your life. If your story of who you are creates your experience of reality, then the most important question you need to be asking yourself is, who is the you that's creating your life? And how do you create an energetically aligned way to untangle yourself from a story that you're outgrowing? The question of who you are is a challenging question and not always an easy one to answer. Historically, we've looked to stories, myths, and archetypes to help us identify with aspects of ourselves. Since the beginning of the human story, we've sat around fires telling tales of heroes and tricksters who are simply archetypal aspects of characters that live within all of us to varying degrees. Ancient wisdom keepers created archetype-based personality systems such as astrology and numerology and the I Ching to determine who we are, how we are, and why we're here. In modern times, we've turned to science to explain who we are. We've learned that certain personality traits are inherited. We've discovered that our DNA is more malleable than we thought, continuing to fuel the nurture versus nature debate. We've learned that the protein codes that regulate how our genes function, epigenes, contain ancestral memories that influence how we experience the world, and particularly how we create wellness and well-being. We know that our lived experiences, especially in our childhood, can influence our self-perception, our physiology, and even create ongoing trauma reactions that cause us to forget or hide who we are as a coping mechanism when we don't feel safe, valued, or accepted. Not only that, we learn at an early age the collective formula for being successful in life. Your parents, teachers, and society taught you vital lessons that shaped your desires, intentions, and even your definition of what it means to be successful and abundant. The cultural narrative, what you read in the news, what you saw on social media and watched on TV, showed you stories that informed the decisions you make about what to pursue, who to become, and what you need to do to create success in life. All of these elements, called conditioning, contribute to the story of who you are. Trying to untangle your personal story from these elements can be tricky and sometimes scary. Defining and deconditioning your story often requires the courage to step out of your family and cultural narratives and take the risk of creating success on your own terms. For many of us, that means trusting that we'll continue to be loved, valued, and accepted in the world, even if we don't follow all the rules that the world has laid out for us. It's no wonder that most of us learn to play it safe and put off defining our own story until we feel like we have nothing to lose and our foundation is strong and solid. The good news is that you no longer have to wait for random external circumstances and the passage of time to help you experience a foundation that is strong and solid. You can engineer these circumstances using scientifically supported modalities that work across all levels of the energy field. When you work to shift your personal story on the quantum level, mental and emotional level, the subtle body level, and the physical level, you create a dynamic, integrated matrix that helps you shift your personal story permanently and change your family story along the way so that you can heal ancestral narratives in all directions of time. If you're like most people, you've probably tried to improve your habits, change the way you think about things, and set goals to try to create optimal wellness. And while all of these actions can result in a certain amount of growth and change, it's also pretty common and normal for people to try to make big lifestyle and mindset changes with little progress before defaulting back to old patterns and behaviors. There are many reasons why we tend to go back to our default programming. The biggest reason is that we're pretty efficient creatures. Once we establish a pattern of behavior or thought, we tend to run the patterns pretty automatically via neural pathways and energy channels. Neural pathways are a series of connected neurons that transmit signals from one part of the nervous system to the other. These pathways allow for communication between different areas of the brain and between the brain and the rest of the body. Signals travel along the neurons in the form of electrical impulses, and these impulses are transmitted across synapses, gaps between the neurons, through chemical messengers called neurotransmitters. Neural pathways enable us to think, feel, move, and perform various bodily functions in a relatively unconscious way. Think about walking. Most of us aren't walking and thinking about which foot to put down as we take steps. We mindlessly move our bodies wherever we want to go. This is because, as we learned to walk as toddlers, our brain was building neural pathways that make walking somewhat of an automatic event. Anytime we want to establish a new habit or set a new goal, we're basically rewiring the brain. To rewire the brain without a healthy foundation for change requires tremendous willpower and the ability to stick with a new pattern long enough to make new neural pathways, even when all your old default patterns and consequent established pathways get triggered. You can make the process of rewiring the brain much easier and default-proof when you consciously construct a multidimensional matrix to support the changes you're trying to make. An integrated approach to changing your story makes your new story resilient and rapidly shifts your point of creation and avoids boom and bust cycles of motivation and burnout. The changes you make become enduring and permanent. In addition, the brain is a manifestation on the physical level of a quantum potential influenced by the beliefs and memories held in your mental and emotional body and the energy channel established in your subtle body. You are more than just a physical pattern. Your patterns are held on multiple levels of your being. To truly create effective and lasting change, you have to address all of these levels. I started my professional career as a registered nurse and a midwife, immersed in the traditional healthcare system and deeply rooted in science. I struggled with the incongruity of a healthcare system that wasn't really helping people get healthy permanently. I've always been curious to explore how to better help people get out of pain. In my quest to help people eliminate the root cause of their pain, I studied life coaching and became one of the very first life coaches trained in the world. While learning to coach gave me powerful skills, it still didn't give me the depth I was craving to help my clients experience permanent shifts. And I spent a lot of time trying to diagnose the root cause of my clients' challenges, not really finding the answers I needed to effectively help them. At the same time, I also took a deep dive into holistic health traditions like the emotional freedom techniques, flower essences, healing touch, healing sound frequencies, and other subtle body energy techniques. I knew I was sitting on a wealth of life-changing tools, but I still felt like my approach was hit or miss, so I kept searching. Then I worked for and studied under Ra Uru Hu, the founder of human design, and learned the power of human design, but I learned human design through my healer eyes. Human design gave me a more targeted approach to all the modalities I was trained in, and certainly, human design helped me get my clients much better results in a much faster way. But I knew that just following human design alone without an evidence supported strategic and integrated approach to helping clients still wasn't giving me a complete system to accelerate my clients' results and help them get out of pain permanently. While pursuing my PhD in integrative medicine, I realized that until we treat the whole person at every level of manifestation, we are limited in the quality of transformation that we can facilitate for our clients. Not only that, once I understood the power of quantum medicine, I knew that I had to work with people in such a way that my own conditioning and my own biases didn't impact my clients' capacity to tap into their ability to heal themselves. My role was not to heal them, but to help them tap into new potentials for well-being on a quantum level in their own way. Just like a bowl full of eggs, butter, flour, cocoa powder, and sugar are meaningless unless you put them all together to bake a melt-in-your-mouth chocolate mousse cake, so too are coaching and energy healing modalities when they're kept separate. However, when we mix these all together, you can achieve true alchemy and lasting change. In 2015, I blended together essential science-supported modalities into an integrated energy aligning protocol called the Quantum Alignment System to better support my clients getting to the root cause of their pain and helping them regain control over the story they tell themselves and the world about who they are and how they are. When you follow the Quantum Alignment System protocols, quantum leaps in progress can and do occur beyond any single modality that I've ever tried. In the quantum alignment system, we blend together quantum human design, quantum questioning, flower essences and healing sound frequencies, intentional storytelling, and the emotional freedom techniques. While I'm a big fan of the modalities I integrated into the quantum alignment system, you don't have to use these specific modalities to create an integrated approach to lasting transformation. It is quite possible to use other modalities provided that you're using modalities that address changing personal narrative on the quantum, mental and emotional, subtle and physical layers. If we only treat the body, or if we only try to change our habits without taking this integrative approach, we run the risk of putting a lot of will and effort into making very little progress towards creating a life rooted in permanent and sustainable well-being. If you'd like to learn more about activating your quantum wellness, be sure to download a copy of my free mini ebook, Introduction to Quantum Wellness, Integrating Human Design for Optimal Well-Being. You can find the link in the show notes. I'm Dr. Karen Curry Parker. Thank you for joining the Quantum Revolution.
For more information on how to change your world, visit quantumrevolutionpodcast.com. Make sure you follow us on your favorite podcasting platform so you don't miss a single episode of Quantum Revolution. We'll see you next time for some more groundbreaking conversations with Karen and her guests. How will you impact your world today?